Welcome again to another of my videos on some of my thoughts on different elements of long distance running and mountain races. Sharing with you some of the systems I use, and today I'm going to be talking about food or food systems. And I call them systems because I think things work together and they're interdependent. So food is one of those themes. The faster I go, the more liquid my nutrition is going to be. The slower I go, the more solid my nutrition is going to be. So when I start, most of my nutrition is going to be about making sure that I have enough water on my flasks and I have enough gels, mostly gels in the first 12 hours of a race. Then slowly start introducing some bars. And moving on to more solid foods that I can get either on checkpoints or that I can prepare myself. So that is, I think, standard. The gels I use are normal standard gels. I think everyone has their preference on flavors, so I'm not going to talk too much about that. Then the second element, which is bars. Again, same thing. Some people prefer certain types of flavors, different qualities of the bars. I don't think that is super relevant. I think the most important is how are you able to manage the opening of the gels, taking the gels. How is your tolerance to that sweetness coming into your mouth? Do you then drink water? The same thing with the bars. You're chewing up the bar, or is your stomach actually taking it easily or not? The other element, and then as you move on, you're probably going to go into more solid foods, or you're going to grab solid food on aid stations. So it's just a matter of making sure that that solid food is not going to continue to work on your stomach as you run. So most likely you're going to have just a little bit of care about thinking what are you eating on a checkpoint, whether that's going to affect the speed or the intensity with which you want to race on the next segment of the race. So other than that, those elements which I think are quite obvious, what else do I use? So I use some products which I think they help somehow my muscle functions. I have liquid magnesium. The reason for that is I tend to dehydrate a lot and I suffer a lot from my muscle functions. I have cramps. And somehow I worked out that taking a little bit of magnesium every now and then, every 12 hours, maybe half a shot, actually seems to help out. Again, I don't have solid science on this. The other thing that really helps out is making sure that I have salt caps. And these salt caps, what they do is they help balance out, obviously, the salts on my body, the minerals. I also use BCAAs. All these products are from Gold Nutrition, which, again, everyone has their favorite brands. This is the one I use. I try to, balance these out and making sure that they are somehow complementary to whatever I'm doing food-wise and gels-wise, because some of the gels already have some of these elements, so you gotta, really know your labels. Then when I get to a checkpoint, what I do, the first thing I do when I get to a checkpoint is making sure that I have liquids. And, in those liquids, I tend to put in some, a fast recovery mix. So I get to a checkpoint, take my backpack out, go to my drop bag, open the drop bag, take my mixer. My mixer, I have this sort of single dosage fast recovery bags, put it in the mixer, put water in that, and I am drinking immediately when I get to a checkpoint. This allows for hydration, but also getting some very quick energy in, and then after doing that I might actually eat something. Depending on whether I'm sleeping or not, I might even have two doses of fast recovery. Then throughout the race, I sometimes plan to have proper food, as in, I use dehydrated food. Again, my favorite brands are the ones provided by Decathlon. And I brought just a couple of flavors, which are dessert flavors, which I love. It's basically a rice pudding and custard pudding. What I do, for example, in Malam Tarn, where there's hot water available, I get in, take two of these, open them up, put hot water in, let them sit, to be prepared. I refill my flasks, do my maintenance. When I actually have done my maintenance, change any batteries that I needed to change, then I can actually eat. And if need be, I can actually take one of these and eat along the way. Keep my, when I dispose this, I just put it on the backpack and throw it away on the next checkpoint. There's no other, super uber secrets to my fueling along the race. Sometimes I have cravings like everyone has. When I get to a checkpoint, normally, my favorite along the spine race is actually rice pudding. So I think I have more rice pudding in a week than the rest of the year. And probably some salty foods. Whenever I'm craving salty foods like a bacon sandwich, I know that I'm probably low on my salt caps. So I actually take a couple of salt caps. I might have a little bit of a bacon sandwich, but it's just that it's not going to be as nutritious as eventually other food that you can have on a checkpoint. So I prefer to balance it out. I prevent myself from having that type of food. I probably most likely will have eventually some rice pudding and a salt cap, and making sure that I balance it out like that. Finally, the last very important element of fueling is constancy. You need to have food constantly. You can't just have food every checkpoint. Some of you are going to be doing checkpoints every 16 hours or even more than that. You can't be between checkpoints without food. Make sure you dedicate your time to planning. How many calories are you going to have an hour? Are you following the plan? Are you stopping to actually fuel in? You might go slower in the beginning of the race if you make sure you manage that correctly. But in the later stages of the race, you're going to recover that time because you're still going to feel energetic, you're still going to feel positive, your emotions are going to be balanced, and overall it's just a better balance. So if you have any thoughts on this, or if you have a different experience, or if your body's working a different way than mine, always great to learn about people's different views and experiences, and also learn some more myself and experiment different things. So thank you, and there's one last video to do.